Well, for more on the inauguration of the 10th Assembly, Ambassador Chibuzo Kirike, legislative analyst and convener, National Political Equity Movement Nigeria, joins me now from our Abuja studios. Thank you for joining us. Yesterday, the nation marked a pivotal day in history, June 12, and today it was the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, that is the legislature, which formulates the will of the people into laws, sort of giving it legal character. What's your impression of how we arrived at the principal officers today?
Well, thank you, Millicent, and good evening, Nigerians. You know, the legislature is the home of practice of democracy. So for me today, we have made progress in our democracy. We have also witnessed the burden of democracy in this whole process and the need to do more. Because I believe that for our democracy to thrive, we must work hard to strengthen the institution of the legislature and ensure that the legislature is independent. I think that in the Senate, for instance, what happened was a clear show of a fair and equitable democratic process. And we must thank the clerk to the National Assembly for his intervention during the nomination process. Because even the rule of the Senate stipulates that no point of privilege or order should be raised at the time election of presiding officers are being conducted. So the intervention of the clerk actually saved what would have become a constitutional crisis. And we believe that the emergence of the winner, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and that of Senator Jibril Barrow, we put them in shape to realize that this is a hard-won victory, and the commitment that the Senate President made in his speech, one of the most important things he said was that there will be robust debate about policies, because what we have seen in the past is reactive oversight process rather than being proactive and pragmatic. So that is a huge process. But in the House of Representatives, for instance, is where we would have experienced the burden of democracy. Without prejudice to the candidate that have emerged as the President, as the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Deputy Speaker, these are credible people with cognate experience. However, many people are worried with the open vote system under the new standing order, because you could see the amount of votes, nearly 98% of the vote, 353 out of 359 members that were accredited to vote. That on its own is a huge burden on the presiding officer of the House of Representatives. And I think we should interrogate that particular process in the future, because there are so many implications to that, to both democratic consolidation and the ability of the House to assert itself to legislative business and processes. You may have a situation where in the 11th Assembly, rather than rally your colleagues to vote for you, you focus on endorsement of the executive or other people. And the collapse of the opposition structure in the House of Representatives was quite shocking. And this also goes to tell us about the political party system, management and administration, an issue of ideology, in the country. But beside that, it was a welcome development that the three arms of government are now properly constituted to transact the business of government for the good of the Nigerian people.
Ambassador, what is wrong with being transparent? Because you did mention that in some of what you said regarding the House of Representatives. And also on that question, how can Nigerians keep them accountable? Briefly.
Well, yeah, it's quite transparent, but also they are underlining exogenous and endogenous factors. Because our political climate is different, though the legislature has the power of the purse, but the executive is actually the authentic holder of the power of the purse. And of course, the National Assembly can only call the executive to account. They cannot hold them to account. as the Constitution is currently framed. And like I said, both the Speaker and the President of the Senate made quite a very hopeful statement in their inaugural speech as to the fact that Nigeria legislative process will engage the people. Public hearings will be held on key policy proposals of government. And then the people must organize to take advantage and hold the leadership of the 10th Assembly to this promise of public engagement, public hearing, scrutinizing all bills clause by clause. Like one of the senators said, I think Senator Adeola, during the valedictory section, a situation where bills are passed without key every clause of it being verified by the Assembly. Even the Senate, 9th Assembly President of the Senate mentioned the fact that bills can no longer be passed without being circulated to all members to look at it. That should not continue, and the 10th Assembly is expected to do this for the Nigerian people.
We will look to what indeed they hold in store for Nigerians. We'd like to thank you, Ambassador Chibuzo Okereke, legislative analyst. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10.